Hey guys, welcome to our REV Question of the Week. I have a very, very special guest for you. You all probably know him. If you don't, it's Mr. Jonathan Paul Mumley, Mr. JP Mumley. And JP, I have to
You
ask
call me
you.
Jonathan Paul.
Yeah,
I
Jonathan
feel I feel
Paul.
like I'm in trouble when you
Yeah.
say that.
Did your mom say Jonathan Paul if you're in trouble? And first off, have you always gone by JP?
As long
Well,
as I can
besides
remember.
okay.
Yeah, as long as I can remember, I've been JP as a kid. Even in elementary school, and my mom or dad would call me Jonathan, people would tease me.
Really? Would your
Yeah.
mom, if you got in trouble, was it Jonathan Paul? Like Jonathan
Yes.
Paul Mumley? That's so
Yes. In
funny.
fact, even to this day, if I like do something really dumb and I'm just like annoyed at myself, I'll say Jonathan Paul like that.
So funny. I don't think I know of anyone else who uses their own name as like a swear word substitute. Like I actually think that that's very unique about you.
And then my 4-year-old walks around saying Jonathan Paul.
No way, Naya? Naya
Yeah.
does? That is hilarious. That is so funny. Well, just for people, we're gonna do some JP trivia. And this isn't gonna be trivia about his life necessarily. And JP doesn't know what these questions are yet. But JP is a guy that when I think of him has a lot of interesting things about him. He grew up in a foreign country. He went to Western. I don't know why I think that's interesting, but he went to Western. He loves soccer.
Fascinating.
It's fascinating. He went to Bellingham, where half of the church goes. So he loves soccer. He's a foodie. You know, I think there's a lot of good things about JP. So JP, I'm going to ask you some trivia questions
All right.
that I think you should know the answers to.
I hope I do.
I think you should know them. And so we're gonna roll with it. Okay, so first question, and when I ask you the question, there might be some context you need to explain. But how many countries does Kenya border? And can you name the countries?
Oh, that's good. Okay. Woo!
So provide us context, by the way. Why am I asking you this question?
All right, I grew up in Kenya. I moved there when I was 5. And how many memories do you have before you're 5 years old? Not very many.
Not very many.
And I graduated high school there. So 5 to 18, I lived there as my home.
Okay.
So it's always going to be a part of me.
So we'll see. We'll see, won't we?
Okay.
How many countries and what are they?
So you got the Indian Ocean. You got Somalia.
Country. Oh, you're.
I'm just starting.
Okay. Somalia. Okay.
Somalia, Ethiopia.
Yep.
Sudan.
Oh, wait. No. What specifically about Sudan?
South Sudan.
Okay. I helped you there.
Okay.
I helped you there.
Which, if I need an excuse, that whole split happened after I graduated.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, no, I should know. You got Lake Victoria.
Uh-oh.
And then you got Tanzania. Burundi?
No, you cut out when I said that. When you said Lake Victoria.
I said Uganda.
Perfect.
Yeah. I said Uganda, and then you got Tanzania, and you're back to the Indian Ocean.
Okay, so how many countries?
Oh, I don't know. Somalia, South Sudan, Ethiopia. I skipped that one. Uganda, Tanzania. 5.
Hey, good job. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, that's. I'm gonna put a clap in the chat for you.
Oh, they don't have the full emojis. I do like the smiley sweat guy.
And guys, we're on Zoom. It's quarantine, obviously. It's old news at this point for you, but that's why we're doing it over Zoom. Okay, next question for you. What is Kenya's most popular religion? And what % of the country identify?
All right. Well, you might not go with this, but I think it would have to be Christianity.
Mm-hmm. True.
And I think the percentage would be, there's a lot of Islam there, but I think you'd have to say 60%, maybe
75% in the 2018 census. Wow. Okay. Good job. All right. Next, we're going to move on to a Manchester United question for you. Okay. Manchester United released a song in 1994 that debuted #1 on the UK singles charts. What was the name of the song?
Whoa.
That's a song
in 94?
But it was the #1 song in Europe. I'll give you the first word. Actually, no. I'll give you the last word. Reds.
Come on, you Reds. I don't know.
Come on, you Reds. That's right.
No,
yeah, that's right.
I should have faked it more. That's
wow.
Come on, you Reds.
Guys, that is really impressive that you do. Is that a pretty well-known song, though? Come on,
I don't know the song.
Oh,
But people will say, "Come on, you Reds!"
yeah, they released a song in 1994 called "Come On You
Oh
Reds."
man,
The
that is
the
funny. Okay, how
debut
many
number
people
one.
watching this video were born in 1994?
I wasn't, so we'll just start with that. Okay, I was, yeah,
Well,
I was
I
not born.
was.
That's good. All right, next question is how many students currently attend
Oh,
Western Washington? I'm giving you 4 numbers. Okay,
okay.
16,000,
Okay.
15,000, 12,000, or 18,000. So 16, 15, 12, or 18.
When I was there, I think the number was around 14 or 15. I'm going to say because they've not let it blow up too big, they're going to be at around 16,000.
Dude, my goodness, another victory, another dub for Jonathan Paul. Okay, all right, here's the next one. Back to Manchester United.
All right.
Sir Alex.
Sir
for
Alex
people who don't
Ferguson.
know, he's
Yep.
a famous, like if you watch the Seahawks, Pete Carroll is a legend for us, right, for the Seahawks.
Yeah, but Ferguson is more like, who's that old Green Bay coach from history?
Oh, I know who you're talking about with Brett Favre. That whole guy.
No, even it doesn't matter. We can't remember his name. He's like
Lombardi?
one of the most famous coaches in history.
Vince Lombardi, is that?
Yeah, him, like him.
I hope he was the Green Bay Packers. I'm not a big
pretty
NFL
sure,
fan.
I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah.
It's okay, but here's a question.
Sorry.
Sir Alex was appointed manager of Manchester United in 1986 after his predecessor was fired. Who was the predecessor?
Oh, brother.
Do you want me to give you some names?
Yes,
do you think
please.
you got it? Okay. Dave Sexton.
Okay.
These are all such English names. Tommy Doherty. Okay. Howard Kendall.
Okay.
Or Ron Atkinson.
Oh, is it Atkinson?
Atkinson, yeah. Ron Atkinson. Thank you.
Because I think it's him.
Man, another victory for Mr. JP Mumley. Wow. Okay, and then here's the final one. JP, I don't think that one of my favorite memories of actually being an intern or growing up at New Heights was going to Burger Bungalow.
Oh, yeah.
With some of the student ministries team. So I have to ask you a cheeseburger.
May it rest in peace.
May it rest in peace. How many burgers do Americans eat annually? Okay. How many burgers do Americans eat annually? Do you want to give you some numbers or do you think you have a guess?
No, I'm not going to have a very good guess
Okay.
at all. But all America.
Okay. 10 million in a year. 10 million.
Okay.
25 million, 50 million, or 75 million. 10, 25, 50, or 75 million cheeseburgers.
Listen, the cheeseburger is like a part of American culture.
Well, you go. Yeah, we'll see. This is for all the marbles to go undefeated.
I got to go big or go home. I got to go 75 million.
Oh, and there's no thumbs down. It's actually 50 million cheeseburgers, which is actually insane when you think about it.
That is insane. Yeah.
That's insane. Okay, well, guys, that was just some fun trivia for us to kickstart us. I just want you guys to recognize that we miss you guys. We love having fun together. We are launching Zoom groups right now, so if you're interested in joining a Zoom group, leave a note in the comments. We'd love to get you connected to our ministry. We miss you guys. JP has served at REV and led REV for many years, and we care about students, so we want you guys to stay involved. So what we do in this video every week, if this is your first time tuning in, is you guys actually text in your questions about life, the Bible, God, faith, and we do our best to answer them. We're not answering from our own authority. This is not me and JP. We don't have an encyclopedia of knowledge that we pull from. But we do have a passion for the Bible. We have a passion for truth. And we do our best to answer those questions for you. Okay, so JP is kind enough to join us. So JP, I just want to ask you these 2 questions. And these are both coming from middle school students. So if you wrote these questions in, I really hope this is a good answer for you. Please text us again and let us know if you have any follow-up questions, okay? Here's the first question. Is it a problem that other people around the world believe things just as passionately as we do? And I'm guessing when she says we, I'm guessing she's saying Christians. So if I could say it one more time, I'll say, is it a problem that other people around the world, maybe in other countries, believe things just as passionately as we Christians do? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. JP.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I've gotten questions like this from middle schoolers, I've always been impressed with how deep and sincere the questions are. And this is a good example of one. I would break that into 2 pieces. I would say, what do you do with people who believe as passionately as we do in their own faith that's different than ours? And then secondly, is that a problem?
Mm-hmm.
So the first part is what you do with people who believe just as passionately. I would say it's not really about how much you believe in something. It's about how reliable that thing is that you believe in. It's, for example, it's not if your faith is like a coat. It's not how heavy your coat is when you hang it on the hook. It's how stable and anchored that hook is. Your faith is not better or worse if it's more intense or more passionate. It's actually more about what your faith is placed in. There's that classic example of sitting on the chair, and it's more about whether the chair is a reliable place to sit or not. And so I would say you can believe in something very passionately, but if what you're believing in is not a reliable place to place your belief, to place your faith or your trust, then I think you're in trouble. And I think there's a lot of examples of people who believe very passionately in something that is not a reliable place to put their faith. So that doesn't surprise me, because it's not about how much we believe. It's more about how reliable what we believe in is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, things that are true independent of whatever we want to believe or however we came to that conclusion, right? 2 + 2 = 4, whether or not I like it or not, right? Even if I believed wholeheartedly that 2 + 2 = 5, that's genuinely what we believe when it comes to faith. We believe that Jesus rose from the dead, right? We believe, thinking of Easter, we believe that that's central to our faith. We believe that genuinely happened. And whether or not Jesus rose from the dead is completely independent from, how passionately I believe in it or where in the world I believe in it. And I find that really encouraging to my faith, right? Because it's not so much about me, it's about who Jesus is. And so
Right.
I think if you wrote this question, I would try and encourage you and say, hey, it's okay to recognize that there are other people that believe in things very passionately.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that your faith in Jesus is any less valid, right? Because Jesus himself is what we put our faith in. So,
right. I think another way to say that is believing in something more doesn't make it more true.
yep.
And so we need to have humility to examine our own beliefs and say, no matter how much I believe in this or want to believe in this, is it true? Is it reliable? And let that influence what we put our faith and our trust in. And for me as a Christian, I think I'm very comforted to know that God came to earth and entered human history in the person of Jesus. And we can examine Jesus and see if he was a legitimate character in history, and whether he was God, whether he rose from the dead. All those things are able to be studied. And when you start there, you begin to realize that what he said is true and accurate, and it snowballs from that. And it comes from a very objective place where you realize that it is a reliable place to put my faith.
So, question for you, and this will be my second question. I'll try and pair two things together. What should be our attitude as Christian young people, as students, as young adults? What should be our attitude towards other people that believe different things? Do all of my friends that I go to school with who believe different things, do we all believe the same thing? So should I just let them be? Should I try and reach out to them and share my faith with them? What do I do with that? What should be my attitude towards them?
Well, I think if you are a follower of Jesus and you are secure in your faith, and you recognize you don't have everything figured out, you recognize that you're not a perfect person, you recognize that even if your faith is placed in what's true, that doesn't make you better than other people, then you can love without reservation. You can be friends wholeheartedly with people who might not agree with your faith. You can have conversations without getting into arguments. You can demonstrate the character of Jesus to your friends in a way that is real and authentic, without feeling like you're on different sides of a battle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would just encourage Christians in schools who have friends that don't believe what they believe to just rest in knowing that God's in control, that God put those people in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and that you can be secure in your faith, even though you might not agree with everything your friends believe, and they might not agree with everything you believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think linking the two questions, if there's people in other parts of the world that believe things really passionately, um, that's very similar to maybe you have friends in school who aren't Christians that maybe ascribe to a different faith. I think from the Christian perspective, I would encourage our students to say, hey, it's okay to recognize that Jesus teaches that he's the only way to God. And I think that that's okay to recognize first. I'd encourage you, and it's not rude to recognize that in your own life. I actually think it's really important to recognize that that's what being a Christian means. It means putting your faith only in Jesus. And actually, I think when you recognize that, paired with JP's attitude that he's speaking of, I actually think it should motivate you to love your friends more. When I think about the first question, is it okay that, or how do I deal with the fact that there's so many people out there that believe other things passionately like we do? Well, I think it should almost in some ways break our heart, because I think the Bible says that Jesus wants all people to be saved. We want all people to know Jesus and have a personal relationship with him. And so when I think about my friends that maybe don't know who Christ is, I'm not here to argue with them, or I have no interest in trying to attack what they grew up believing, anything like that. That's not of interest to me. What's of interest to me is, do they know Jesus? That's what's of interest. And the only thing that matters in that conversation is just loving people and loving your friends and being honest with them, having good character. Yeah, so those are just some of the thoughts that I have.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of my favorite verses in the Bible is right behind John 3:16. John 3:16 is probably the most known verse in the whole Bible, but John 3:17 is what Jesus says next, and it says, "For God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world." That doesn't mean Jesus isn't the only way. He is. That doesn't mean that you can be right and you can be wrong about something, because you can't. But it does mean that our role as Christians is to mirror the role of Jesus, which is where he came to save the world.
Yep.
Condemnation will come down the road, but that's not our job. Our job is to be on God's team to help save the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so to reflect Jesus and his words in John 3:17 could be a good guide for people in schools.
Yeah, yeah. And so, for students that are wondering, do all my friends that don't believe in Christianity, do they all believe in the same God? And I would say no, in summary, and I would say that that's okay. It's not okay, like we don't want to just leave them there. I think it's okay to say, yeah, it's okay to recognize that people have different viewpoints. And it's okay to say as a Christian that should motivate us in love towards them so that they can know the truth about who Jesus is. We don't say it's okay that other people believe in other faiths because, oh, it's whatever, like let people do them, No, we want to love people, but you have to start with the correct understanding that people who believe different faiths really do believe in different gods, that they're not the same. Christianity is not the same as another faith.
Right. I think along those lines, God has a character. He can be known. And so there are certain things that are true about God, and there are certain things that are not true about God. And when you start defining God in different ways, at some point, God, if he was in the room, would say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! You're saying I'm something, but I'm not that. And I've
Mm-hmm.
explained who I am." And so I think it's easy to say, "Oh, all gods are the same," but you're describing very different characters, and
Yep.
so you might be ascribing characteristics to God that are not true of God. And so I don't think all gods are the same God. God has defined and characterized himself in a particular way,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. I think the counterbalance to that is, while we say you can be right and wrong, and there's different gods, and there's right gods and false gods, or the right God and false gods, you also need to remember that putting your faith in the true God, the one true God, does not make you better than anyone
Yep.
else. And so I
Absolutely.
think you gotta keep that in mind all the time.
It's a balance of truth and humility, right? It's
Totally.
totally. Well, guys, we covered a lot of heavy stuff today. If you guys have any questions for us, text that number down below. We would love to answer your questions. We'd love to pray for you. This is something that we all think about and deal with. I have many friends and people I care about that believe different things than me. And I constantly have to walk that balance of finding security in what I know to be true, that Jesus died and rose again for me and for them, but also that balance of how do I communicate that in love without causing conflict. I think that sometimes can be a real dance. And so if you're trying to figure that out too, text us. We'd love to walk with you in that, pray with you in that. JP, thanks for joining us. JP,
yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, JP and I, we miss you guys. We hope you're doing well. And we hope you guys check out the NHSM online on Thursday nights, okay? We'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye.